Well, greetings again. Tetractys Institute of Metaphysics and Evolution, picking up where we kind of left off on cycles. This time, though, I want to discuss something that gets a little deep. Um, Difficult for some people to grasp because we have mentioned reincarnation before, and that is a key element to the level of causality that this world experiences. We make information. We create it every time we have an existence, and every time that we are present, um, more or less has signatures, what I refer to as signatures that relate to the conditions, as it were, of an equation. Life cycles can be like drawn out like an equation, like you would see in physics, and because of those variables that exist within there, the condition is the equation itself, with parentheses and slashes and all that you see in mathematics. And it's pretty simple to relate to this. That equation is the condition that's set for us not only by what is divine and our purpose and our goal. The variables that go into that we set up as individuals and as full collectives, as we'll get to in a second, has a lot to do with our relationships with each other, and in particular, mostly the relationship that we have to ourselves and a divine consciousness that we carry. Because we would not be given such missions as such a cosmic and divine one as we are experiencing here and in other places spiritually. We have our body. Let's understand that spiritually. The soul, though, is a traveler. The spirit drives the body. It drives many things. It drives the leaves on every tree. The plastic that's on the dashboard of your car is created from atoms and particles that have consciousness. They have an essence to them. They understand. Okay? It took a long time for physicists to come around to that. So the condition that is set by the equation itself has a divine sense of purpose to it, but those variables we can change. So understand when I say the condition of the environment of the equation itself is referred to many times by that condition as destiny. Okay, for lack of a better term, let's say. Fate, on the other hand, are the variables that lie in there that do not turn to anything until we make the decision or we commit to an action. And when we commit to those actions, we are writing, we are scribing into what is sometimes referred to as the Akashic Records, the Book of Knowledge, Tree of Life, blah, 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 etc. Excuse me there, my blah, blah, blahs. But the essence of what that is between destiny and fate is in that connection between destiny being the conditions set by the equation, and our fate are the choices or signatures that we apply to the variables within that. So we are writing and we are following at the same time. This is how consciousness has us. You can say that certain levels of it are predestined, yes, but you can also say you are its maker, and not necessarily its creator, but its maker. See, and in case he put it like, mind is the builder, but that is not the brain that's in our head. That is the soul mind, the soul consciousness. So we understand that in the cycles and stuff, as we write this stuff out, okay, that equation is going to come full circle in certain places. We do not, let's say somebody has 30 lives. You're not experiencing the conditions, okay, created by these signatures or your activities in those, let's say, 30 lives or so, all at once every time you experience a life. You're experiencing, as far as I have discovered in my own research and my own works, I would say no more than 3 to 4 past experiences are driven into the destiny that is set before us for one particular life, because we can't handle more than that. This is where the expression, the Lord won't give you more than you can handle. That's where that comes in. Okay, and let's try to understand that, because that has a lot to do with where we are right now. Um, we can say out of all those lives, every single person has been black, white, yellow, brown, orange, purple, I don't care. The color doesn't matter. What mattered was the environment that we endured in the particular cycle or time essence of human history. Because many of us have dreams, okay? And in those dreams or in our visions and such, you will see things. You will experience things over and over and over. And they are coming from what I refer to as postcards to ourselves. Postcards to ourselves. Because our past has written our future that we will experience in a present. All of these activities are going on at once. Okay, there is no past that does not have some involvement in the future that will not manifest itself to a present. And where you are experiencing these things is like a slider on a soundboard or something for where you are in particular things, for what you are experiencing as echoes or reflections of things we have done in the past. Now, this goes for civilizations as well. This is what I'm getting to. We experience we have these experiences individually, but we have them during the rise and fall of particular civilizations. And we need to note that what we do for a living, or what we consider our habits, our hobbies, the things that we love to do, how we relate to family members, and other things during our educational years, has a lot to do with how those reflections of those 3 or 4 previous lives have sent postcards to us. We sent information to ourselves. So a lot of people, when they're channeling, this is the thing that gets to me a little bit. When we talk about channeling, particularly with like Edgar Cayce had an outside source that spoke through him. And channeling can do that. But channeling also has a tendency to speak mostly through ourselves, about ourselves. Okay? When you hear certain people that say, I remember going to a reincarnation thing, I think it was when I lived out here in Orange County before in California. And I'm not saying this is just California, it evolves in many places. Went to one of these events, and there were literally half a dozen Napoleon Bonapartes. One could say that only one of them possibly might have had that experience. But the fact that they all believe they are Napoleon Bonaparte has a lot to do with how the reflections of dreams and visions occurred in their mind. They remember the time period. It doesn't have anything to do with them being a literal Napoleon Bonaparte. I'm sure Napoleon Bonaparte has his soul invested into the time experiences like all of us do, and is still present. It doesn't matter whether it's earthbound or if it's some other celestial body learning its lessons, and then we come here to practice those lessons. This is a schoolyard, a divinely organized schoolyard. We fell to it a long time ago, and we haven't been able to leave. So we are trapped by our own devices, our own signatures, as it were, that we set into the conditions of our experiences. This happens for civilizations. So when I speak about cycles, and when we talk about Mayan or Egyptian calendars, ways of reading time, recording time, these cycles begin to take on, manifest into not what we can give literal time periods. Like we can't necessarily say, well, let's put it this way. If we look at the Bakhtun length of a Bakhtun at 144,000 days, we look at something like that, and the Bakhtun that measures out to, X number of years, and then we try to put it into a cycle of 5,120 years. These are too discrete to say they have, that they are literalizations of those cycles, because cycles have a tendency to blend. They merge. There is the edge of a circle and the edge of another circle. It doesn't just come together like this, and all of it compounds in this one incident. And we say that at a particular time, at 111, however the numerology wants to go, and people want to toy with that, is moot. Because somewhere along the line, those cycles pass through each other and have a connectivity. When I did the Mayan thing, I actually made some statements where I definitely felt that the way that some of the things were occurring, that it dealt with this 24-year period overlapping time. And in that 24-year period, which is actually a little bit longer than that, the Mayan cosmology, the way that it will align up and have its and bear that cycle, will take that many years to kind of evolve. It doesn't happen on just on one particular day. However, its evolution that we can watch in the sky astronomically occurs in about a 3-day period, and it did so on December 20th to the 23rd in the year 2007, where we had 5 objects line up in our universe and our solar system that had a continuity pointing towards the dynamic center of our galaxy, what we call galactic center, there in Sagittarius. And basically, in the bow of the Archer lies this central region of our Milky Way. But on December 21st, 2012, there wasn't any alignment. You can go to various sites and check it out as top-down views of the solar system. Put in those days. You won't find anything in 2012. You will find 5 objects lined up in our solar system, including Pluto, which I find surprising because I don't believe the Aztec Maya had any recordings for Pluto as a planet that was involved in any of their calculations. And again, like I said, when all the priests and the Balaam priesthood was killed off by the conquistadors, the way to control or manage the calendar died with them. And we are essentially looking at a dead calendar, frozen, literally frozen in time, because it does not have the maintenance. Which is why when people said 2012, I said, no. The cycles are regressive in the Popol Vuh. If we take a good look at the Mayan calendar and how it operates, it has regressive motives where it goes too far ahead and then it wants to come back. So all their adjustments were actually regressive time date, things in order to add correction to the calculation of the calendar. I knew it had to have been something that already passed. So that can be checked out on the Tetractys metaphysical site, which is on WordPress. So you can type in Tetractys, Tetractys Institute, one word, .wordpress.com, and you will find a collection of most of my heavier studies that involve some of what we're going through. So back to this thing about cycles and civilizations, we need to understand that the civilization that we are experiencing right now has manifested in its essence, in its logic, and in its emotive essence of consciousness. It has manifested before, and many of us are going through this repetitively. You can make of that anything you want to. We make of it repetitively. Why? Because we have had these experiences before, and we are secure. We have a tendency, those of us who sense that, we have a greater sense of security in our mind about what's going on. We have the ability to see it, acknowledge it. We have the ability to accept it into our lives and say that these crimes that are being committed at a particular level are nothing new. Our numbers have changed. Our populations have changed. Where we are in the world and to what civilization we may be living in may have changed. But the consciousness that bears the memory is still there. And it comes to the forefront, postcards to ourselves, that we get to read, comprehend, and understand to a point of where we begin to really see who we are, where we are in our so-called time. And the thing that fascinates me the most when I view some of this, and it's so hard to put any of this into a nutshell for people, so I need to wrap this up and we'll come back to it. But understand right now that the people who are empowered and such, have driven themselves to this point. They have accelerated from a particular point in consciousness and risen to the degree of power and presence that they have today. These are, as far as I'm concerned, these are sons of Belial, as Casey would refer to them, but they're also, if we go all the way back to the mark of Cain, we are looking at the sons of Cain, and we may get into that a little bit, okay? You can take that at a grain of salt right now, but I would like to, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but my studies have been pretty vast over this, and there are others who would agree. I'm not the only madman. But our history is not as important as our present. So, the things about going into earth traditions and stuff like this, they're very important to consider. but they are maps of a landscape that we are currently caught in by our own devices. And so you would either have acceptance to that or rejection to it, and you will rebel at all kinds of levels, and you will endure whatever it is you want to decide to put yourself through, which will probably be painful and difficult for you, because we create our difficulties at every level, and we create our blessings at every level. So in closing here, real quick, just for this one, consider what has been said here, because what we are enduring in this particular cycle, war is coming. I definitely feel that war is coming. It has not faded, actually. There's a lot of people that think we had World War I, World War II, we had Korea, we had... No, war has never ceased. Never ceased since it first began in our consciousness millennium ago in the, dare I say, an Atlantean ideal. Was there something before Atlantis? Yeah, but it was extremely obscure to any kind of thing that has been recorded and kept and managed to a point of where it's discernible at this point of time in humanity. We look at Atlantis in a various way. You can say anything you want to about Plato, the Timaeus, the Critias. You can say anything you want to about these writings, these manuscripts, and how they were applied. The point being is it expresses the consciousness that has never faded. Never faded. It can fade. That's the point we need to remember. We can surpass it. We have the ability in our consciousness, like I said, to overwrite. That is a power, and it will eventually be our blessing. Have a good day.